Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining today for our weekly satsang program. And thank you very much for coming regularly and encouraging us to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. So currently we are discussing Canto 3. At least somehow or other, having gone to Bhaktivedanta Vidyapit in Govardhan Eco Village, having spent there for 2 years to read Srimad Bhagavatam continuously, while reading Bhagavatam during our Vidyapit and even afterwards, after coming back to Chowpatty in the last many years reading through Bhagavatam, somehow or other I have developed special affinity for third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So according to me, at least as far as me concerned, third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is my favorite canto. There is a special reason for that, and we'll try to explore that in our future weeks and all. So my understanding is Srimad Bhagavatam is a book of philosophy which teaches us the Krishna consciousness philosophy through many examples of various devotees, how they practiced bhakti, how they attained perfection. So by seeing so many examples, we can develop inspiration to practice bhakti throughout our life. So that is one of the important aspect of Bhagavatam. But for the entire philosophy that is present in Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto acts like the basis for the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. If we understand the concepts that are explained in the third canto Bhagavatam and the rest of the cantos becomes very easy to follow, becomes very easy to understand, becomes very easy to absorb. So because Srimad Bhagavatam canto 3 talks about two of the very essential and very crucial topics. So the first few chapters, starting from chapter 5 all the way up to chapter 20, which we recently completed last week, we just completed 20th chapter. These chapters talk about the process of creation, how the entire universe has been created, how Mahavishnu, with the help of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, had created this universe and maintained this universe that has been presented. And also, few chapters talk about how various other personalities in the universe, such as Lord Brahma, have assisted Lord Vishnu in creating this universe. It is also included in this section. Now, that creation thing further continues. After Lord Brahma, how other personalities that have been created by Lord Brahma assisted in the process of creation. So that is the subject matter of the entire fourth canto and first of the fifth canto. But before going to that, another important aspect of creation, that is the purpose of creation. What was the purpose with which within his mind the Supreme Lord had created this wonderful creation? Why at all Lord has to take so many pains in order to create these material universes, maintain them and annihilate them at a periodically, again create them, again maintain them, again annihilate them? What was the intention the Lord in order to create and maintain and then? So Bhagavatam third canto at various places it talks about there is a dual purpose for creating this universe. The first one is to facilitate a proper background or proper situations so that the jiva can fulfill whatever ulterior motives that jiva has. Jiva in the spiritual world very happily coexisting along with the Supreme Lord, serving him 24/7. But knowingly or unknowingly, unfortunately, at one point of time, jiva developed a desire to enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord. In order to fulfill that desire of the jiva, the Supreme Lord facilitates proper facilities by creating material universe. So in the material universe, the jiva can enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord. And Lord does not want jiva to be bound in this material world. The same Supreme Lord also provided facilities, the necessary conditions, following which the jiva can go back home back to Godhead, can return back home back to Godhead. So how the Lord facilitated for jiva's enjoyment by creating this universe has been presented in the first 15 chapters, like chapter 5 to chapter 20. All these chapters talks about the creation aspect. Lord Vishnu created unlimited universes. Lord Brahma created 14 planetary systems and unlimited variety of bodies, especially the 4 categories that of the plants, the different variety of animals, which include aquatics, reptiles, insects, mammals, and birds, etc. And then human beings, different variety of human beings. And then finally, 8 category of superhuman beings, such as Devatas, Asuras, Yaksharaksasas, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Vidyadharas, Charan, Siddha, Charanas, Vidyadharas, Bhuta, Preta, Pichashas, Sadhyas, and Pitrus. So like that, 8 different types of superhuman beings were created by Brahma. And also Lord Brahma created various kinds of sages and the rishis. So all these different types of bodily forms were also created by Lord Brahma, so that Jiva can fulfill their desire to enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord in these various category of species. So this is one purpose of creation. The second purpose of creation is that the Supreme Lord provided suitable facilities following which the Jiva can go back home back to Godhead. So the first purpose has been presented in the previous section. The second purpose, what are those facilities following which Jiva can go back home back to Godhead, is what discussed in the later part of the third canto. Starting from 21st chapter all the way up to 33, the main theme of these many chapters, almost 13 chapters, is what are the facilities arranged by the Supreme Lord following which Jiva can go back home back to Godhead. This is the second purpose with which the universe has been created. So this is one of the important sections of Bhagavatam. So we will try to understand as much as possible. To the extent we have understood, we have heard and understood, we will try to present it accordingly. So this is most important section in the entire Bhagavatam. If this section is understood clearly, the rest of the Bhagavatam actually depends on this particular section. So the remaining Bhagavatam becomes easy to follow. So this is according to my little understanding. So humbly request all the devotees to be present for our future classes regularly without missing any class. So because if we do go through continuously, it will be very nice to have clear understanding. If we miss something in between, we may miss something. So that is the whole idea. So later on, Srimad Bhagavatam at various places, these particular, whatever I mentioned, is also talked about in the Bhagavatam at various places. For example, in the 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 87 chapter, verse number 2. So wherein Srila Sukadeva Goswami says that Buddhindriya Manapranan Janana Masrajat Prabhu Matrartam cha Bhavartam cha Atmane Kalpanaya cha. The Supreme Lord had created this universe with 14 planetary systems and unlimited variety of bodily forms, especially the human body and also the Devatas body and the sages body, Rishis body, which are all having similar bodily appearance. So their bodies will have buddhi, intelligence, indriya, the 10 senses, mana, mind, prana, the life, air, janana, masrujat prabhu. So the Supreme Lord had created all these human beings and other higher beings with all these special faculties of complete features. Of course, the animals also have buddhi, intelligence, mind, and all, etc. senses, but they are not so developed. But in case of human beings and superhuman beings, they are fully developed. For what purpose? Jiva has come to this material world to enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord. That is indicated by Matrartham. So Jiva wanted to enjoy in this material world by experiencing 5 tanmatras: Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are 5 tanmatras, are the 5 sense objects, the 5 properties of the 5 gross elements. Ultimately, Jiva comes to this material world in order to enjoy these 5 tanmatras. So the Supreme Lord gives the Jiva a particular body with which Jiva can enjoy these 5 Tanmatras. But if the Jiva is not satisfied with the enjoyment of these 5 Tanmatras in one lifespan, the Supreme Lord allows that Jiva to enter into another species and enjoy those 5 Tanmatras. That is Bhavartham. So Jiva can transmigate from one species to other species and then continue to enjoy. And if having enjoyed in multiple forms of bodies, when Jiva is done with that, then Jiva should practice particular sadhana to go back home back to Godhead. That is Atmane Kalpanayacha. Then that Jiva should endeavor to regain one's own Swarupa by going back home back to Godhead. So this is the purpose with which the Supreme Lord had created this material universe. So that is indicated by Supreme Lord. Here it is being indicated in that way. There is one more verse which is there in the second canto of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. It is from 6th chapter. So where it is said that second canto 6th chapter verse number 21. Sri Vichakrame Vishwan Shasananasane Vube Yad Avidyacha Vidyacha Purushastupayashraya. Under Supreme Personality of Godhead's supervision, the Jiva wanders in this material world, going from one species to other species to other species like that, following 2 paths. One is Shasana, second one is Anasana, which are the functions of Avidya and Vidya. Shasana refers to the certain rules and regulations following which the Jiva can fulfill their desires in a respectable way. It is not that in order to fulfill one's desires, one need to perform sinful activities. Not like that. In a respectable way, Jiva can fulfill their desires by following the rules and regulations that are given in the Vedic literature. It is only when one does not follow the rules and regulations given in the Vedic literatures, one commits sinful activities. So that is called Shasan, certain rules and regulations. And Anasana indicates by following those rules and regulations, one can cut off one's material body in this material world, one can go back home back to Godhead. That is called Vidya. By Avidya, one can follow in this material world from one species to other species and fulfill one's material desires and stay in this material world. Or if one want to go back home back to Godhead, take shelter of Vidya and then return back home back to Godhead. But both these things are under the supervision of Supreme Lord. So we have also studied in the second canto, Avidya has 5 functions. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. So what is that? When Lord Brahma had created the material body, the soul who is staying within the core of the heart is covered by 5 layers. They are called as Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. Avidya, which makes us forget our true identity. From Avidya, we forget our identity. So what is that? Tamo, Aviveka. So Avidya makes us forget our true identity. Then the second one is Asmita. It is also called as Moha. Moham Sad Antakarana Vibrama. Moha bewilders our Antakarana, bewilders our mind, intelligence, Ahankara and Chetana, and gives us a different identity in whichever gross body we are situated. Our original identity is that Jivera Sarupai Krishnera Nityadas. That Avidya makes us forget that identity, that we are Krishna's, an Amsha of Krishna, and we are an eternal servant of Krishna. That is being forgotten. And Avidya, Asmita or Moha gives us a different identity in whichever body we are living. Currently, we are living in human body. We think ourselves as a human being. When we will be living in a Devata body, we think ourselves as Devata. If we were living in animal body, we think ourselves as a animal. That is due to asmita or moha covering of avidya. Then, as long as we are living in that particular bodily structure, we develop attachment or friendship or loving reciprocal dealings with other similar body species who are living in the similar bodies. If we are human, we develop relationship with other humans who are giving happiness to us. That is called Mahamoha, greater illusion, or Raga, attachment or possessiveness to sense objects. Whether the objects are the people who are the cause of our enjoyment, we want to develop possessiveness upon those objects or people. We want those objects or people to be with us till the end of our life. That is called Mahamohastu Vigneyo Gramya Boga Shukaishuna. We are interested in Gramya Boga, the material enjoyment, in the association of those objects which are giving us, those objects are those people who are giving us enjoyment. That is called Raga, attachment. So while we are trying to enjoy in the presence of some objects or in the presence of some people, there may be somebody else also might want to enjoy with those objects and with those people. So there is a competition, there is a conflict which leads to envy between those two jivas. That is called tamishra, anger or dvesha, hatred. Repulsion or hatred appears when one's enjoyment is obstructed. Tamishra krodha uchate. When one's enjoyment is stopped, then there will be anger or envy upon those people who are trying to obstruct our enjoyment. With those who are helping us enjoy more and more, we develop attachment. Though with those who are obstructing our enjoyment, we develop hatred. But finally, in the background, in the core of our heart, we always think that there is something called death. Death means full stop to all my enjoyments. So the jiva makes different plans that before death comes, let me enjoy as much as possible. The jiva is completely immersed in making plan after plan and trying to enjoy one thing after the other thing. The whole life goes in plan making and trying to enjoy the different sense objects. That is called abhinivesha or andatamishram. That means falling into deep dark well. Fear of death or absorption in material pleasure. Maranam hi andatamishram. It is called abhinivesha. Means a person is completely absorbed in plan making and enjoying. That's how the jiva is bound in this material world. This is the nature of avidya. Avidya binds us in this material world, taking us from one species to other species to third species, fourth, fifth, like that. Jiva tries to enjoy in different forms, in different species. If at all we want to cut through this bondage and go back, home back to Godhead, then we need to take shelter of Vidya. So what is Vidya? Narada Pancharatra says that Sankhya Yogaucha Vairagyam Tapo Bhaktischa Keshave Pancha Parvaiva Vidya. Vidya is that knowledge which destroys the 5 types of ignorance and takes us back home back to Godhead. That is called Vidya. So Vidya consists of 5 things. Actually 6, but Narada Pancharatra says 5 because these 5 contain the 6th thing as a subcomponent. They are basically Sankhya. Sankhya Yoga means Jnana Yoga. Yoga means Ashtanga Yoga. Vairagya means detachment. Tapasya, austerities. And finally, Bhakti. Actually, there are 6 things is Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Tapasya, Vairagya, and Bhakti Yoga. These are the 6 Angas of Vidya. Taking shelter of these 6 Angas of Vidya are the 6 sadhanas. One can progressively upgrade one's consciousness and purify one's contaminated consciousness, and eventually one day can go back home back to Godhead. So this is what the subject matter which we are going to discuss in the future section of third canto. wherein Lord Kapila is going to talk to Mother Devahuti about how to execute Nishkama Karma Yoga, how to execute Jnana Yoga, that is Sankhya Yoga, how to execute Ashtanga Yoga, how to execute Tapasya and Vairagya, and more specifically, how to execute Bhakti. And by executing all these different sadhanas one after the other, combinedly or independently, what kind of destiny one attains, how one reaches back home, back to Godhead. This is the subject matter of the second part of third canto. Starting from this chapter, 21st chapter, we will be discussing it. So this talks about basically the different sadhanas which we are supposed to practice, practicing which we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So that is the subject matter of teachings of Lord Kapila, which will be presented from 25th chapter to 33rd chapter. But before that, in order to talk about the appearance of Lord Kapila and circumstances under which Lord Kapila spoke teachings of Lord Kapila unto Mother Devahuti, in order to talk about that, first 4 chapters, the introductory chapters about the marriage between Kardama Muni and Devahuti, their begetting children, their begetting Lord Kapila, and eventually Kardama Muni going to forest taking to renunciation, and then Mother Devahuti approaching Lord Kapila, accepting him as her spiritual master and asking him various inquiries. Then Lord Kapila speaking to her elaborately on different sadhanas, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Tapasya, Vairagya, and Ashtanga Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga, following which Mother Devahuti attains perfection and goes back home, back to Godhead. So this is the subject matter which will be discussed in these chapters. And following these sadhanas, how different devotees have attained perfection is the subject matter of the rest of the Bhagavatam. In the remaining Bhagavatam, we see that how different devotees following all these different sadhanas, overcoming different obstacles, how gone back to Godhead. So different pastimes of different devotees are present in the rest of the Bhagavatam. So hearing about them, seeing that how they overcome different obstacles in their path back home, back to Godhead, and how eventually they attained shelter at Lord's lotus feet, we develop inspiration to practice bhakti till we attain ultimate perfection. Hare Krishna. So I hope this is clear. I did not confuse you. So
yeah, very clear, Prabhuji, very clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So chapter 21, conversation between Swayambhu Manu and Kardama. So now let us see the introductory portion for teachings of Lord Kapila. Text 1. Vidura uvacha Swayambhuvasya chamanor Vamsha paramasattam sammata Katyatam bhagavan yatra Maitunye naidire praja. Having heard how Lord Brahma created all the living entities, ultimately ending with the creation of Swayambhu Manu and Satarupa. Having heard that Lord Brahma ordered Swayambhu Manu and Satarupa get married and beget children and take care of the human beings by ruling over the entire Bhumandala. And when Swayambhu Manu trying to find out where the Bhumandala is, he understood that Bhumandala submerged into Garbhodaka ocean. Then he requested Lord Brahma to do something to revive the Bhumandala. Then as he prayed, Lord Varaha appeared and lifted the Bhumandala. And then Swayambhu Manu and all the Devatas and the great sages requested Lord Varaha to do something to keep the Bhumandala in stable state. Then Lord Varaha appeared in the form of Kurma and keeping the entire Bhumandala on his back. Lord Kurma made Bhumandala stable. Then now Vidura, having understood all these things, now Vidura is going to ask that, what did Swayambhu Manu do afterwards? Swayambhuvasya cha manor, Swayambhu Manu, Vamsha Paramasammata. We understand that Swayambhu Manu and his lineage, his dynasty, is a wonderful dynasty, the great dynasty. Katyatam Bhagavan Yatra, Maitunya Nedire Praja. Please tell me that how did Swayambhu Manu beget different children? Because I know that his dynasty is very wonderful. Is glorified as The best of devotees, best of devotees have been born in his dynasty. Please speak about the dynasty of Swayambhu Manu, the lineage of Swayambhu Manu. So wherein Swayambhu Manu and his children have begot children, procreated children, begot children through the process of procreation. Because before the creation of Swayambhu Manu, all the creations were happening through mystic potency. Whether it is Lord Brahma creating, whether it is Lord Rudra is creating, or whether other sages are creating, they were all happening through mystic process. But by the creation of Swayambhu Manu and Saturupa, in one sense, Saturupa was the first lady. Then the process of begetting children through procreation has been established. So how did that creation took place afterwards? This was the first question. Then Vidura asked, Priyavratottana padau sutasvayambhuvasya vai yata dharmam jugupato saptadvipavatим mahim. I hear that Swayambhu Manu had, of course, in the previous chapter 12, previously chapter 12, it was mentioned that having married Saturupa, Swayambhu Manu begot 5 children in her, 2 sons, 3 daughters. The 2 sons were Priyavrata Maharaj and Uttanapad Maharaj, and the 3 daughters were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. So here in this verse is talking about Priyavrata and Uttanapada. So the 2 sons of Swayambhu Manu, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, are very dharmic and religious kings. Yata dharmam saptadvipavati mahim. And they ruled over the entire Bhumandala, consisting of 7 islands. Both Priyavrata and Uttanapada were religious kings. They are wonderful devotees of the Supreme Lord, and they ruled over the entire Bhumandala, consisting of 7 islands. So basically, indirectly telling that, kindly speak about them. Tasya vai duhita brahman devahuti vishruta patni prajapate rukta kardamasya tvayanaga. So my dear sinless Maitreya, you have mentioned that Swayambhu Manu gave his daughter known as Devahuti in the hands of Kardama. And please talk about them and their children. Tasyam savai mahayogi yuktayam yoga lakshani sasarja katida viryam tanme susrushave vada. Kardama Muni had begotten many children in Devahuti, but among them there was one person, there was one son who had appeared to preach Sankhya and Yoga and Bhakti. Sankhya, Yoga and Bhakti. Can you please speak about them, him also? How did Kardama Muni had begotten this wonderful personality, and what were the teachings of that wonderful personality upon Sankhya, Yoga and Bhakti? That also please discuss. Tanme Susrushave Vada. Kindly speak. I would like to hear about them more and more. Ruchiryo Bhagavan Brahman Daksho va Brahmana Sutta Yata Sasarja Bhutani Labdva Bharyam Chamanavim. The other 2 daughters of Swayambhu Manu gave in marriage to Ruchi, the great sage Ruchi, and Prajapati Daksha. Akuti married Ruchi and Prasuti married Daksha. Please speak about their marriage and their children also. So these are the various questions asked by our Vidura and to Maitreya. So Maitreya, instead of discussing first about Priyavrata Maharaj and then Uttanapad and then other daughters, he directly talks about the marriage of Devahuti with Kardama and their begetting Lord Kapila and Lord Kapila teaching Mother Devahuti. This is, since 3rd canto talks about the topic of primary creation and secondary creation, having talked about the process of creation, now purpose of creation is being indicated. And next from the 4th canto onwards, the lineages of the 5 children of Swayambhu Manu are presented. In the 4th canto, first chapter talks about the details of the children begotten by these 3 daughters of Swayambhu Manu. Akuti begets through Ruchi. Akuti and Ruchi begets Lord Yajna and Dakshina, and Devahuti, having married Kardama, begets 9 daughters, and those 9 daughters have married 9 sons of Lord Brahma, and they begot so many other children. That is also mentioned. And then Prasuti married Daksha, she begot 16 daughters. That is also mentioned. And all these people give children, but the 16th daughter of Daksha does not give birth to any children. That was Sati, who married Lord Shiva. Because before she would beget children, she died herself in the presence of her father Daksha. So there Vidura asked question, what was the reason that Sati committed suicide kind of thing? Sati burnt herself in the presence of her father Daksha only. Then the Daksha episode is being talked about in the fourth canto, chapter 2 to chapter 7. Then starting from chapter 8 all the way up to the end of the chapter canto 4 talks about the lineage of Uttanapada. Uttanapada married 2 wives and then their children, like that. It goes all the way up to the end of the 4th canto. Then 5th canto, chapter 1 to chapter 15 talks about the lineage of Priyavrata Maharaj. So in order to answer the questions asked by Vidura here, Maitreya elaborately answers all these questions all the way up to the middle of 5th canto. Till then it goes. But for the first, at the very beginning, in order to speak about the purpose of creation, Maitreya talks about the birth of Lord Kapila and the teachings of Lord Kapila here in the 3rd canto, so that this topic of creation will be completed, both the process and the purpose. So in that way. So now he starts discussing the marriage between Kardama and Devahuti. So now let us see. Maitreya Uvacha Praja Srishteti Bhagavan Kardamo Brahmanodita Saraswatyam Tapastepe Sahasranam Samadasha Praja Srishte Bhagavan Kardamo Brahmanodita. Lord Brahma instructed Kardama Muni that, my dear son, please get married to a suitable girl and beget children, by which please assist in my seva of creating or populating this material universe. Having received this instruction from Lord Brahma, who is his guru as well as his father, Kardama Muni went to the bank of Mother Saraswati river. There, on the bank of Saraswati, performed tapasya for Sahasranam Samadasha for 10,000 years. Not 1 day, 2 days. He performed tapasya for 10,000 years, a continuous tapasya, in order to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before begetting, one need to get married. So before marrying, in order to get married, Kardama Muni is performing severe tapasya. So that is what is mentioned here in this verse. Tata samadhi yuktena kriya yogena kardama samprapede harim bhaktya prapanna varadashusham. The Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, is very much pleased by the austerities and the bhakti rendered by Kardama Muni. So being pleased, prapanna varadashusham, the Lord who is eager to bless his surrendered devotees, who is eager to distribute his mercy to one and all, quickly made his appearance in front of Kardama Muni. Of course, from the Lord's point of view, it is quick, but from our point of view, Kardama Muni had performed austerities for 10,000 years, 10,000 long years. So, but Lord made his appearance very quickly in front of Kardama Muni by seeing at his devotional attitudes and austerities. Tavat prasanno Bhagavan Pushkarascha Krute Yuge Darshayam Asatam Kshatta Shabda Brahmam Dadavapu. The Supreme Lord who possessed a form of Vedas, Shabda Brahmam Vapu. The Lord's form is made up of Vedas. Or the true nature of Lord's form can be understood only by taking shelter of the Vedas. Because the description about the Supreme Lord is present in the Vedic literatures. Vedas means not just Vedas, the any Vedic literature, including Puranas and Bhagavatam, etc., all the Vedic literatures, taking shelter of which one can understand about the true nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Supreme Lord, some of the attributes are Pushkaraksha, who had lotus-like eyes. And during the period of Kruta Yuga, he made his appearance in front of Kardama because he was very much pleased with the mood and surrender and austerities performed by Kardama Muni. Tavat Prasanno Bhagavan. As soon as Lord was pleased, immediately made his appearance in front of Kardama Muni. Satam Virajam Arkabam Sita Padmotpalashrujam Snigdhanila Vrata Vaktrabjam Virajombaram. Here so many attributes of the Supreme Lord are indicated. So here it is said that Satam Virajam, the Lord's form is free from any lower modes like Rajaguna or Tamoguna. He is completely a personality made up of Shuddha Sattva. And Arkabam, he is brightly shining like Lord's Sun. Arka means Lord's Sun. Arkabam, his transcendental body is emitting so much radiance like that of a sun. Sita Padma Utpala Srijam, he was wearing white lotus garland. Sita Padma means lotus, Sita means white. So Padma Utpala Srijam, his body is decorated with the garlands made up of white lotuses. Snigdha Neelalaka Vrata. So his face, his beautiful face is surrounded by the curly hairs of blackish color. Neela Alaka Vrata. So his shining face is surrounded by the curly black hairs, the blackish curly hairs. So in that way. Snigdha Neelalaka Vrata. Vaktrabjam Virajo Ambaram. So that was the beautiful description of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Basically, Vaktrabjam Virajo Ambaram. It's like the beautifully, brightly shining lotus face of Lord Vishnu is surrounded by blackish, cloudy-like curly hairs. So, in that way. Ambaram is like clouds. Ambaram is also like umbrella. So, in that way. So, spotless clouds are being covered in the evenings, upon the evening sun like that. The beautiful description, bodily description of the Supreme Lord is indicated here in this verse. Kiritinam Kundalinam Shankachakra Shvetotpala Kridankam Manasparsha Smitekshanam. Whenever Lord Vishnu appears, he appears with four hands, the four-handed Chaturbhuja Vishnu Narayana form. So here Lord also had four hands. Within his four hands, he was holding the four weapons. He had Kiritam, on the head he has Mukut, and Kundalam, the Makara Kundala, the star-shaped earrings, and one hand he was holding Shanka, in another hand he was holding Chakra, in another hand he was holding Gada, and the fourth hand, Shvetotpala Kridankam. Instead of holding Shanka Chakra Gada Padma, lotus flower, he was holding a Utpala flower and is constantly playing with that. Kridankam, Shvetotpala Kridankam, the white Utpala flower, and he was constantly playing with that. Why? Manasmarsha Dekshanam. The Supreme Lord is so much pleased by the sincere devotional attempts of Kardama Muni, and in return, the Supreme Lord also want to please Kardama Muni. In order to please him, he was displaying the playing attitude of the Supreme Lord by moving the Utpala flower around. And then he also had Manasmarsha Smitekshanam. Smile, a beautiful smile upon his lips and a beautiful glance. With these two, he is touching the core of the heart of Kardama Muni. On his transcendental face, there is a beautiful smile and compassionate glances, or satisfied glances, by which he is touching the core of the heart of Kardama Muni in order to please him. Because he performed severe austerities for 10,000 years, the long austerity, in order to relieve him from the troubles of performing austerities, in order to please him, in order to give him complete satisfaction. The Lord is displaying his satisfaction by playing with the Utpala flowers and by smiling, by slight smile, and by the compassionate and pleasing glances, etc. Vinyasyacharanambojam amshadeshe garutmata दृष्ट्वा केव स्थितं वक्षा श्रियं कौस्तुभ कंदरम. दृष्ट्वा केव स्थितं, the Lord did not standing, is not standing on the ground. Vinyasya charanambojam amshadeshe garutmata. His 2 feet are standing on the back of Garuda, and that Garuda is standing in the ether, in the air. Even Garuda also did not stand on the land. Both Garuda is in the air, and the shoulders of Garuda, Lord Vishnu is standing with his feet. Vinyasya charanambojam amshadeshe garutmata drishta ke avasitam. Both Garuda and Lord Vishnu are situated in the ether, in the space, and they came in front of Kardamuni. So Kardamuni was seeing, and one few more beautiful description are Vakshasriyam. On the chest, Mother Lakshmi is situated. On the chest of Lord Vishnu, Mother Lakshmi is situated. Kaustuba Kandaram. On his neck, there is Kaustuba jewel. In addition to the Vaijayanti Mala, which was made up of Sita Padma Padmotpala Srijam. So the white lily garland. In addition to that, Kaustuba gem also is there on his neck, and also Mother Lakshmi is situated on the chest of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu appeared being standing on Garuda along with Mother Lakshmi, who is situated in the chest of Lord Vishnu. So in that way. Jata harsho apatan murdna Shitau labda manorata giribhistu abhyagranat priti swabhavatma kritanjali. So here it is said that priti swabhavatma, by nature Kardama Muni is a happy personified. Kardama Muni was by nature happy to perform austerities. Now having seen the Supreme Lord, his happiness increased 1,000-fold. Because of that increment of 1,000-fold of happiness, Jata Harsho Apatam. He became so happy immediately in order to express his gratitude to Supreme Lord. Murdna Kshitau Labda Manorata. He fell flat at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord in order to offer obeisances unto the Lord. He fell flat like Danda. He offered Dandavat Pranam. Girbistu Abhyagranat. Then he began to offer prayers unto Lord Vishnu. First of all, by looking at the transcendental, beautiful form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his happy consciousness became happiest 1,000-fold. And he was expressing his joy. He immediately fell flat and offered obeisances, then got up and began to offer prayers unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now starting from verse number 13 to 21, all these verses wonderfully describe the consciousness and the prayers offered by Kardama Muni unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are wonderful prayers. So let us go through these prayers. Sri Rushi Ruvacha Justam Batadya Kila Satvarashe Samsiddhyamakšnor Tava Darshanam Na Yaddarshanam Janna Viridya Shadbir Ashashate Yogino Ruda Yoga. Justam Bata Adya Akila Satvarashe Samsiddhaye Akshnos Tava Darshanamna. He said that, O Lord, by what good fortune, by what pious activities, I don't know. But today, I have attained the perfection of my eyes. The perfection of my eyes, or the perfection of anyone's eyes, is to witness your transcendental form. Samsiddhyam Akshnos Tava Darshanamna. The eyes attain ultimate perfection, samsiddhi, only when they have your darshan, tava darshanam. So today, bata adya akila sattva rashe, somehow or other by good fortune or by your causeless mercy, I have attained your darshan, by which my eyes attained the highest perfection. Because Your form is the form of Akila Sattva Rashi. Your form is the form of, your form is composed of all living entities. Your form is the composed of all universes, both material and spiritual. Your form is the form of everything. Because everything manifests from you, everything includes in you also. So just by having darshan of you, one has had darshan of everything. Since you are the origin of everything, your darshan is sought after by all the great yogis. Ashashate yogina ruda yoga. The yogi, ed darshanam janma biridya sadbir. The yogis, ruda yogis, with a desire to have your darshan, they are performing severe austerities for many lifetimes. But somehow or other, by your causeless mercy, today I have your darshan. Though it is very difficult to obtain it for the yogis. This is your causeless mercy upon me. By having your darshan, the form of all that exists, I have attained, or my eyes have attained some siddhi, the complete perfection. So later at other places in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the same mood is also presented. For example, there is one verse in the fourth canto, which Lord Shiva is speaking to the Prachetas. This is one of the important verse, one of my favorite verse also. Darshanam no didrukshu nam dehi bhagavat architam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanam. So, in general, the senses becomes pleased when they come in contact with the sense objects. But that satisfaction is only temporary. It does not last long. One may experience a kind of ananda abhasa, may not be real happiness, but a kind of happiness by having come in contact with the sense objects. But the senses can enjoy complete happiness when they come in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarve Indriya Gunanjanam. The senses will experience complete happiness only when they come in front of the Supreme Lord, when they experience the beautiful darshan of Supreme Lord. So thus Lord Shiva is praying that darshanam no didrukshunam dehi bhagavat architam. My dear Lord, we always pray that we would like to have your darshan. That is only our anticipation while executing so many devotional services, only to have your darshan. Because Rupam Priyatamam Swanam. What kind of darshan devotees want to have? Persons like me want to have? That form which is very dear to your wonderful devotees. Rupam Priyatamam Swanam. That form which is dear to your dearmost devotees. We would like to have the darshan of that form. Because that form can give complete satisfaction of all the senses. Otherwise, the senses are good for nothing. They are only simply burden upon us. So that is also mentioned in second canto, third chapter, where the sages of Naimisharanya, with an intention to inspire Sutta Goswami to speak more and more Bhagavad Gita, they are telling that if the senses are not engaged in the devotional service, they are simply a burden. So it says that, especially in relation to eyes, it is mentioned here. Bharyai tete nayane naranam lingani vishnur na nirikshatoye pado nunam tau drumajanma bado kshetrani nanu vrajato hareryo. Bharhai tete nayane naranam lingani vishnur na nirikshatohe. If the eyes which do not see the beautiful transcendental deity from the Supreme Lord, wherever one may go to different holy places, those eyes are like the eyes of peacock feather. A peacock feather also have so many eyes. They are simply that imagery eyes. They are not true eyes. But the explanation of eyes of the peacock feather are given here in the sense. Peacocks generally live in the forest. So generally the peacock does not open its feathers always. They are like closed. In a closed condition, peacock can can pass through the thorny bushes, thorny trees, etc. If the peacock opens, it's all feathers and it is big, like a big net. And with that big net, if it want to go through a thorny bush, it cannot go ahead. Because the opened up peacock feathers, will be struck in that thorny bush. Though that peacock feathers will have so many eyes, but those eyes cannot see the thorny bushes which are ahead. So it will get into that thorny bush, and the whole peacock feathers are pierced by so many thorns, and it gets destroyed. The beautiful peacock feather becomes disfigured. So those eyes which do not see the Supreme Lord's transcendental form in the temples, which only sees the material sense objects, will be bound in this material existence. Just like the thorns will pierce the beautiful peacock feather, though it has so many eyes, it gets damaged. Similarly, the human being's purpose of life gets damaged by becoming attached to sense objects. So in that way, even the same thing can be seen in relation to the legs. If those legs which do not take the person to the temples, to the holy places, the holy tirthas, they are like the tree trunks. Tree trunks do not move anywhere. They are situated in one place only. They are bound. Similarly, if we do not go to holy places and have darshan of the holy deity forms, we are bound in this material world. We are stuck in this material world. So that is the understanding which is indicated here. So, but whatever it is, here our Kardama Muni is saying that my eyes have attained highest perfection, having had darshan of your transcendental form, who is Akila Sattva Rashi, who is the embodiment of all that exists both in the material and spiritual universes. So in that way. So this is the first prayer wherein he is expressing his gratitude to Lord Vishnu. That Lord Vishnu on his own compassion gave a darshan unto him immediately, which is very difficult for other Ruda yogis, even after performing austerities for so many lifetimes. Janmabir, Idya, even though they perform austerities for so many lifetimes, it is very difficult for them to get darshan of the Supreme Lord. So next, he continues further. Ye mayayete atamedatasvam, ye mayayate atamedasastvam, padarabindam bhavasindhu potam, upasate kamalavayatesham, rashisha kaman nirayepi yesyu. Though your form is Akila Sattva Rashi, which is very difficult to get, whose darshan is very difficult to get for Ruda yogis even after performing austerities for many lifetimes. But still, the people in this material world take shelter of your lotus feet, worship your transcendental form with a desire to fulfill pretty material desires, with an intention to fulfill their pretty material desires, because their intelligence has been covered by your Maya. Ye mayaye atamedatastvat. By your Maya, their intelligence has been bewildered. Hata, their good intelligence has been stolen away by your Maya. Still, in spite of that, Padara Vindam, they take shelter of your lotus feet. They worship your transcendental personality. Your lotus feet, which can award Bhavasindhu Potam, which are like the boat to take a living entity across the ocean of material existence, which can take one to the spiritual world. Even though your lotus feet have that capacity, ignorant of that, the living entities, upasate, they worship your lotus feet. For what purpose? Kama lavaya tesham. In order to fulfill their pretty material desires. Lava means insignificant, small material desires. Rashisha kama nirayapi yesu. Not one material desire, but Rashisha. Like that, small millions of material desires are there. But ultimately, all these material desires, which eventually take one to hellish existence. Nirayapi yesu. The material desires, whose ultimate end is hell. In spite of knowing that, whether knowing or not knowing, the devotees take shelter of your lotus feet and worship your lotus feet in order to fulfill their pretty material desires. Though your lotus feet can take one across the ocean of material existence, Bhavasindhu Potam, because they are like the suitable boat to travel across the ocean of material existence and go back home back to Godhead. But still, because they are bewildered by your Maya, they worship your lotus feet only just to fulfill some material desires. Then Lord says, okay, let them worship, but you do good devotional service. Why are you worried about it? When Lord says that, so then Kardamuni says that, Tata sachaham pravirodu kaman samanaशीलं गृहमेददेनुम् उपेयैवान्मूलमशेषमूलम् durashaya kamadugangri pasya. When Lord says that you worship properly, you don't have any material desires. Then Kardamuni says that no, my dear Lord, I am not talking about somebody else. I am talking about myself only. Durashaya. I have been overcome by such kind of durasha, such kind of material desires. So what is your material desire? Please. Tata sa chaham pravirodu kaman. Even I am one such materialistic person overcome by one such material desire. What is that? Samana Sheelam Gruhameda Denum. I am looking for a cow of similar disposition because I am a bull. I am a person like a bull which has no good intelligence. The cows and bulls are said to be like dull animals in that way. They do not have good intelligence in that way. I am like a bull who has no good intelligence that I need to worship. I need to take shelter of your lotus feet in order to go back to Godhead. But I have taken shelter of your lotus feet with a desire to get a cow, with a desire to get a wife who has similar characteristics, Samana Sheela, Grihameda Denum, in order to fulfill my household responsibilities. Upeivan Mula Mashesha Mula, Durashaya Kama Dugangri Pasha. So because of that desire, understanding that you are a Kama Dugangri, your lotus field are like a Kalpataru which can fulfill all the desires. So I have taken shelter of your lotus feet, which is the cause of everything. Moolam, Ashesha Moolam. Your lotus feet are the source of the entire material and spiritual creations. And also your lotus feet are like Kama Dugangri. It is like the Kama, it is like Kalpa Ruksha. So it can fulfill all the desires. So I have come to your lotus feet. I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. I am worshipping your lotus feet like any other materialistic person with a desire to get a suitable wife. So this was the intention with which Kardama Muni worshipped the Supreme Lord all these 10,000 years. Then Kardama Muni continuing. Then Lord would say that, so you know that people with good intelligence do not worship me with material desires, and you are calling yourself as a bull and you are saying that I have a desire to have a cow of similar nature. But why don't you use your good intelligence and worship me without any material desires? Please do that. Who is stopping you? So when Lord says that, Kardama Muni replies, Prajapateste vachadishatantya loka kilayam kamahato nubhaddha aham cha loka anugato vahami balim cha shukla nimishaya tubhyam. So my dear Lord, this is my understanding. The greatly highly intelligent people such as four Kumaras and Narada Muni, understanding what is what is good, what is not good, they have decided not to get married. Even though their father Lord Brahma ordered them, they have decided not to get married but continue to serve you with full attention. But other sons of Lord Brahma such as Marichi, Daksha, etc., following the order of Lord Brahma, they got married and they begot children. And my dear father, your wonderful disciple and instrument also ordered me to get married and beget children. Because he told me that that is not his order, that is your order. That is in fact, my dear Lord, that is your order unto Brahma, and Brahma gave that order to all of us to follow in your footsteps. Since it is your order to get married and beget children, I would like to get married and beget children. and I would like to offer this seva unto you. Balimcha Shukla Nimishaya Tubhyam. My dear Lord, who is the personified form of time. Animisha means the form of time. Shukla means the Shuddha Sattva form of the Supreme Lord. Shukla Animishaya Tubhyam. Balim, I would like to make this seva following the instruction of my father that getting married to a person of suitable character and begetting children who will populate the entire universe eventually is an offering unto your lotus feet. And Cha indicates that in addition to that, at least with whatever good intelligence I have, with that I would like to do devotional service, one-pointed devotional service unto you also. I would like to do both. As your other sons like Narada Muni and four Kumaras are completely dedicated to serve you, I would like to do that also, as well as I would like to follow your other instruction that you gave to Lord Brahma, who gave to us on your behalf. Get married to a suitable wife and beget children who will populate eventually the universe. This is an offering unto your lotus feet. Balim. So, ahamcha lokanu gato ahami. I do not want to follow only few of your sons, few of the sons of Lord Brahma, that is four Kumaras and Narada Muni. I want to follow the general populace, such as other Prajapatis, the great sages, Pulha, Kratu, Vasishta, Angira, Bhrugu, Daksha, etc. All other sons of Brahma, they got married and begot children. They assisted Lord Brahma in his service of procreating children and populating the entire universe. I would like to be one among the general populace. I do not want to be one among the popular people, something like that, he says. Then, so Kardama Muni further so then Lord would say that, so what is wrong in that? Generally, by giving good instructions to their children, by teaching them good conduct, the parents become famous. And by following the good instructions of parents and by leading a life of morality, the children become famous. So it is like a win-win solution. Both parents and children are becoming famous by giving good instruction and by following the good instructions. So what is wrong in it? Then why are you criticizing that they are Atameda Saste? Their intelligence has been stolen by your Maya. Why are you criticizing them? This is not at all good. So it is a good thing only. Why do you criticize their material desires? So what wrong is there in following the orders of the father and being praised by the people in general in this world? What wrong in that? So then Kardamuni replies, Lokam cha loka anugatan pashumsha hitva shritaste charanata patram parasparam tvad gunavada sidhu piyusha niryapita deha dharma. So my dear Lord, this is my understanding. I am not saying that they are wrong or right, but if they do like this, it is wrong. If they are only interested in following the orders of fathers, which are only in connection to getting married and begetting children or being born in this material world, that is absolutely wrong. Lokamsha lokanu gatam pashumcha. Those parents who teach that kind of things and those children who follow those things, or those gurus who teach this and those students who follow this, they are all like animals. Hitva shritaste charanata patram, because they have given up their surrender to the umbrella of your lotus feet. Because the orders and the following the orders do not have surrender to your lotus feet. That is not at all there in that. If they simply give that instruction, get married, beget children, if they simply follow the instructions of father and get married and beget children, that's all, nothing else they do. They are like pashus. But while doing all these things, if they also take shelter of your lotus feet, even though there may be so many difficulties, there are so many problems in this material world, parasparam tad gunavada sidhu piyusha niryapita deha dharma. They become eventually indifferent to the difficulties offered in this material world and also their attachments towards deha dharma. Their attachments to this world and to the opulence of this world, the enjoyment of this world, the people of this world, which are generally known as deha dharma, they become indifferent to that because Sidhu. They become intoxicated. They are completely intoxicated by what? Piyusha Niryapita. Piyusha. Having drunk something, they become completely intoxicated. In that intoxication, Niryapita Deha Dharma, they becomes completely indifferent to the Deha Dharma. They become completely indifferent to the material existence. By drinking what? Parasparam Tad Gunavada. Having discussed, having heard your transcendental activities, your transcendental qualities, your beautiful bodily features, your unlimited holy names, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. When they discuss, when they hear among themselves, this particular hearing and discussion of Krishna Katha will act like nectarian beverage, intoxicating beverage, which makes them completely intoxicated, and they become completely indifferent to Deha Dharma, completely indifferent to this material existence. Even though they are going through the activities of this material world. This is what happens. If they do both, eventually one day they will reach this, because they have also taken shelter of your lotus feet while executing the duties of this material world, getting married and begetting children. So this is what I want to do. I don't just want to do the order of my father. That apparently the order seems that get married and beget children. Not that. I also want to take shelter of your lotus feet. Atapatram, Charanatapatram, which is like shaded umbrella. The other people who have not taken shelter of your lotus feet, which is like umbrella, they will be troubled or tormented by tapatrayena. The threefold miseries will torment them. But those who come under the shelter of your lotus feet, they are protected by the tapatraya, and they are immersed by the nectarian beverage of Krishna Katha. So this advantage is there, this benefit is there, this solace is there in your lotus feet, in taking shelter of your lotus feet. Thus, I would like to follow the order of my father, and also would like to execute devotional service on your lotus feet. So both I would like to do. That is what is being indicated by Kardama here in this verse. So then, in the next verse, it says that having come into material existence, having followed the general rule of this material existence, getting married, begetting children, taking care of them like that, people are taking shelter of time. But only your devotees, having taken shelter of your lotus feet, they are not bound by time. They do not come under the control of time. So what is the time? What is the form of your what is your form of time? Nate jaraksha bramirayuresham trayodasharam trishatam sheshti parva shanne mananta chediya trinabhi karala shroto jagadai chidyadava. So it says that Nate Ajara Aksha Brahmir. The other people are being pushed by time. They are continuously revolving in this material existence, life after life, life after life. How? Ajaraksha. Ajaraksha Brahma. Here it is mentioned that the wheel of time, which is running on a axle of indestructible Brahman. The time wheel is connected to an axle, Ajara Aksha Brahman. So the Aksha, the axle upon which this wheel is rotating, is inexhaustible, interminable, because that is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Ajara, unborn Brahman, expanded himself at the axle upon which the time wheel is rotating. What is the nature of the time wheel? What is the effect of the time wheel? That time wheel is pushing us from one species to other species, one lifespan to other lifespan, like that. It is exhausting our lifespan. And that time will have so many things. Trayodasharam. It has 13 spokes. Within a year, we have 13 months. Generally, according to lunar calendar, 12 normal months, 1 Adhika Mas. That's why there are 13 lunar months in a year. 3 Shatam Sheshti Parva. In a year, there are 360 days and nights. Within a year of 13 lunar months, there are 360 days and nights. Shan naming. And that year will have 6 rims. 6 rims in the form of 6 seasons. Sharad Rutu, Yemanta Rutu, Shishira Rutu, Vasanta Rutu, Grishma Rutu, Varsha Rutu. Like that, there are 6 seasons in a year. There are like 6 rims in that Kala Chakra. Ananta Chedi. There are so many joints. Like there are so many seconds in a particular day or particular year. Ananta, unlimited seconds within a year. So like there are like different joints. Yet Trinabi. This chariot wheel has 3 naves, 3 nabi, 3 hubs. 3 set of 4 months are called 3 hubs. The 3 set of 4 months basically though there are 3 seasons, though there are 6 seasons, we see them in 3 sets: the rainy season, the winter season, and summer season. 3 set of 4 months. They are seen like that. They are called 3 hubs. Karala Shroto Jagad Achitya Bhaver. So this Karala Shroto means this particular time wheel is continuous to move. Started in the past, continues to move till the end of the creation. It does not stop. It is moving with extreme velocity, chasing and destroying the universe. Jagad Achitya Davat. It continues to run till the destruction of the universe. It will never stop in between. So that is the nature of this time. This is another form of the Supreme Lord. Those who don't take shelter of your transcendental lotus feet, by default, they will take shelter of your form of time. That time pushes them through the cycle of transmigration till the end of the creation, consisting of all these different things. Within a year, 13 lunar months and 360 days and nights and 6 seasons and unlimited joints or unlimited seconds of joints and 3 set of 4 months. And it is continuously revolving with high speed. No one can reduce the speed. No one can understand what speed is running. No one can stop it except your devotees. Only your devotees come under the shelter of your lotus feet, so they are not affected by time. This was also mentioned in the second canto, 3rd chapter, like Hayur Arati Vaipumsham Udyan Astau Chayan Nasau Tasyarte Vaito Nita Uttama Shloka Vardayat. For people in general in this material world, every rising and setting of sun depletes one day from their lifespan. But for the devotees of the Supreme Lord who are constantly engaged in discussing the Lord's transcendental pastimes, Uttama Shloka Vartayat, who are continuously engaged in the Vartalapa of Uttama Shloka. Nowadays, the Varta means news. Nowadays people are very much busy with watching news. There are 24 hours news channels, not 1, 2. There are many news channels are there, newspapers are there, internet, media, like that. There are so many avenues where one can get news. There is bombardment of news 24 hours and continuous agitation of the mind also. But those who are continuously engaged in discussing the Vartalap of Krishna Katha, they are not at all affected by time. Because as long as they are existing in the material, they will be doing Krishna Katha. Having gone to spiritual world, they continue to do Krishna Katha. That is like that. Then it is the Lord says that you say that devotees are fortunate, but you also say that you are not a fortunate devotee. You exhibit your desire to worship, perform devotional service, but at the same time you criticize yourself that you are like a bull having less intelligence, looking for a cow, looking for a wife. What is this? It seems to be contradictory. So if that is the case, instead of worshipping me for fulfilling your material desires, why don't you worship devatas to fulfill your desires and worship me with devotional attitude without any material desires? Why don't you do that? Then here Kardama says that Ekaswayam san jagata srikshaya द्वितीययात्मन् अधियोगमायया सृजसि यदा पाशि पुनर्ग्रसिष्यसे यतोर्ननाभिर्भगवन् स्वशक्तिभिः. So, my dear Lord, I don't see anyone else other than you who is worthy of worship. He says that. Why? How? What is the proof? According to my knowledge, at the very beginning of the creation, there was no other person. It was you alone, Eka Swayam. And it was you alone who existed before the creation. Hare Krishna. It was you alone who existed before the creation. It was you who desired to create unlimited material universes. And you have created by employing your own energy, known as Maya, which is an expansion of Yoga Maya, Adi Yoga Maya. Having taken shelter of, not taken shelter, having taken the help of your expansion, having taken shelter of, having taken the help of the expansion of your Yoga Maya, known as Mahamaya, you have created unlimited material universes filled with unlimited planetary systems occupied by unlimited living entities. Among them, there are Devatas. Who are your expansions? Mamai Vamsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana. So what is the need to take shelter of them, the Devatas, in order to fulfill my desires? Whether they are material desires or spiritual desires, I would like to take shelter of your lotus feet because I don't see anyone else you, whether in the form of the universes or in the form of the unlimited living entities. One among them are the Devatas. Because it is you who create Srijati. It is you who maintain Pashi. It is you who annihilate unlimited universes at the end of the time. Grashishyate. Just like a Urnanabi. Just like a Urnanabi, how it creates a spider web and maintains it for its sustenance for some time, and then swallows it up, go to a different place, again creates another spider web in order to capture insects so that it can sustain itself, and then again swallows it up and goes to different place. Spider does not need anybody else's help for its sustenance. It itself creates spider web, maintains it, and eats it up and goes to different place again creates. Similarly, my dear Lord, you do not need the help of anybody else. You are completely independent. You are Swarat. You, with the help of your own energies, have created, maintained, and annihilated these universes. And Devatas are only a part of that creation. Why do I need to go to the Devatas to fulfill my material desires? Instead, I accept that I have material desires, but still, I'll come to your lotus feet in order to fulfill my material desires. So one may ask that. So in spite of having all this knowledge, why you are asking me material desires for the fulfillment of your desires? Then Kardamuni says that Naitad Batadisha Padam Tavepsitam Enmayayanas Tanushe Bhuta Sukshmam Anugrahayastu Apihari Mayaya Lasatulasya Bhagavan Vilakshita. He says that even though whether with material desires or spiritual desires, we will come to you only. Because when we come to you, even with the intention of fulfilling material desires, we will have the good fortune of having your darshan. That will satisfy our heart completely. Whether for material desires or spiritual desires, we will come to you only because as a result of coming to you, we will have the good fortune of your darshan. And you are not an ordinary person. From your side, we understand that even though we may come to you with material desires, you know that it is not good to fulfill the material desires of these living entities. But still you fulfill our material desires so that we will continue to practice bhakti onto your lotus feet. Eventually, as once our heart is purified, we will become attached to service to your lotus feet. Initially, we might have come to your lotus feet with desire to fulfill our material ambitions. But having had your transcendental darshan, which you give upon us by your causeless mercy, eventually we develop taste to service of your lotus feet. We develop attachment, we develop attraction to your transcendental beauty and form and your lotus feet. And our heart will be purified eventually, and we become pure in our heart. So with that desire, with that understanding, we will take shelter of your lotus feet, even though we are bewildered by Maya, even though we are filled with so many material desires. We understand your causeless nature. So that's why we come to your lotus feet. And we also know that what is there in your heart. My dear Lord, you think that this devotee of mine had come to me. I have fulfilled his material desires. But somehow or other, being bewildered by those material desires, he gone away. Because of my blessings, he has gone away. So it is my duty to bring him back to my lotus feet. And after one day, you will pull us back to your lotus feet. This is your mentality. Knowing this, we only want to come to your lotus feet, not to the devatas. Devatas cannot do this. When we approach devata, they will fulfill our desire. That's all. They are done with us. But you are not like that. Even in spite of fulfilling our material desires, even though you see us that we are bound, we are filled in this material entanglement. But one day, you think that because of my giving blessings, he has been bound here. So it is my duty to pull him up. So you will pull us back to the spiritual manifestation. So this is your personality. So I want to serve your lotus feet, not that levatas. So in that way. So this is the last prayer. So we are late, but we'll complete this prayer so that the section is one completed. Tvantvānubhūyo parata kriyārtam svamayaya vartita lokatantram mama vavikshnam namaniya pada sarojamalpiyashikama varsham. So he says that Namami Abhikshnam Namaniya Pada Sarojam. Your lotus feet are worthy of worship. Because of that, Namami Abhikshnam. Though filled with material desires, I offer my obeisances. I offer my surrender unto your lotus feet. Alpiyashi Kama Varsham. Because though we are filled with pretty material desires, but your lotus feet are Kama Varsham. It is like a rain cloud of, just our rain cloud fulfills all our desires unlimitedly, pours rains continuously. Nowadays it is going on. So like that, your lotus feet have that greatness of fulfilling all our desires. And also, Tvam Tvanu Bhutyo Parata Kriyartam. Eventually after fulfilling our desires, the same lotus will also purify our heart of all material desires. Your lotus feet also have that special feature, that special ability to fulfill our desires and also purify our heart of all material desires. Swamayaya Vartita Lokatantram. Having overcome by your own Maya, we come under the impulse of material existence and filled with all these material desires. But your lotus feet can fulfill our desires, can purify our heart. So, your lotus feet are worthy of worship. I take shelter of your lotus feet by offering myself and by offering my continued obeisances. So, with these prayers, Kardama, submitting himself to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord and expressing his desire to get a wife who is with suitable desire so that he can fulfill the order of his father and also execute bhakti simultaneously. So these are the prayers offered by Kardama unto the Supreme Lord, and the reply of the Supreme Lord unto Kardama we will discuss in the next week. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so
for a
much.
wonderful
Hare
class.
Krishna. Thank you very much.
Excellent class, Prabhuji.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.